Assistant Professor of Biology Carl S. Frankel has been an integral part of the Penn State Hazleton campus and area community since 1974, distinguishing him as the longest-serving faculty member in campus history. Frankel will retire at the end of this semester after teaching courses in biology, human genetics, biochemistry, physiology, and more. He instituted many new laboratory studies as part of science courses at Penn State Hazleton and helped to develop a successful model of team teaching, first with Assistant Professor Emeritus of Biology David Orban for about 30 years, and most recently with Associate Professor of Biology Christopher Gogan. Outside of the classroom and laboratory, Frankel has worked with many student groups as an advisor, including the Discussion Club, Biology Club, Outdoors Club, and Allies, and directed plays at the campus for several years. He is also a long-standing advisor to students performing undergraduate research and participating in the annual undergraduate research fair, along with serving as a judge for the research and STEM fairs. Frankel initiated the popular summer Critter Camp at the campus to share his love of nature with elementary school students. During the camp, students explore the outdoors and use the laboratories at the campus to find and learn about a variety of creatures and plants. He is passionate about the outdoors, sustainability, outdoor recreation, and art. He is active in the Greater Hazleton community as a member of 6 local organizations: the Hazleton Art League, Greater Hazleton Rails to Trails, Friends of the Nescopec, Beth Israel Temple, the Greater Hazleton Concert Series, and the Downtown Hazleton Alliance for Progress. Frankel has volunteered for about 30 years with the Art League, where he serves as co-president and developed the Art Youth Expo, now in its 8th year, which provides local youth with the opportunity to display their talents and win prizes. Frankel holds a bachelor's degree in genetics from McGill University in Montreal and a PhD in genetics from Michigan State University. It is my honor to introduce my distinguished colleague, Dr. Carl Frankel.
Good evening, everybody. Before I begin my remarks, I have been put in charge of this part of the program that has been an innovation for graduations in Penn State this year called 4 from the Floor. I'm sure you've heard all about it. But you will be challenged as graduates to answer 4 questions that will test your knowledge of Penn State and your Penn State pride and your basic ability to function as college graduates. And if you answer successfully, you do get to graduate. If you don't, we withhold your degrees. You were told about this, right? No? Dr. Wright, Dr. Waller, right? Nobody told the graduates that they would? No? Oh, yes. I don't know, guys. Are you ready to wing it? The questions aren't that hard. Now, here's the way it works. I have a little device here. If you answer right, it lights up. Can you see the light? This room has been outfitted with advanced facial and voice recognition software, so we know who you are and we know if you're answering correctly. And of course, that information is being hacked by clever Russians as we speak. Here's your first question. It has to do with your knowledge of Penn State Hazleton culture and mathematics. It's a multiple choice question. I will only read the setup once. Pay careful attention to the answers. Joe wakes up at 8:50 a.m. His first class begins at 9:05. It takes him 5 minutes to get to his car. His car can get from 0 to 60 in 6.8 seconds. Its top speed is 120. Joe lives 5 miles from campus. There are 14 traffic lights between Joe and the campus in the direction he is traveling, and they average being green 60% of the time and red 40% of the time. Which of the following is the most likely outcome? A, Joe arrives for class 12 minutes late. B, Joe arrives for class still wearing his pajamas. C, Joe is stopped for speeding and never makes it to class at all. D, A and B, that's 12 minutes late and pajamas. D, A and B are both correct. So the way we do this is if I say A, everybody agrees with A, we'll yell out A, and the advanced voice recognition software will feed my little device here. You got it? Okay, all in favor of A, Joe arrives for class 12 minutes late. Let me hear you say A. Let me hear you say yeah. B, Joe arrives for class still wearing his pajamas. C, Joe is stopped for speeding and never makes it to class. D, A and B are both correct. You pass. You're doing great. 3 more questions and you get to graduate. The next one is a true or false question. True or false? For 3 years until 1890, Penn State's colors were dark pink and black, not blue and white. All right, you all said, I'll give you, we have to do this in an organized way. All in favor of true, say true. All in favor of false, say false. You are very good. You know what I found out online? Here was the cheer they had back in there. First of all, it was we were PSC, Pennsylvania State College. So here's what they cheered back in there. It said, yeah, 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 yeah. Wish whack, pink black, PSC. Yeah, I think that's probably why they changed the colors. Here's your third question. You're doing great. This is a question about your knowledge of campus geography. The Hazleton, think carefully about this. The Hazleton campus is located between A, Wilkes-Barre and Allentown, B, New York City and State College, C, London and Honolulu, D, Venus and Mars, E, all of the above. All in favor of A, Wilkes-Barre and Allentown. B, New York City and State College. C, London and Honolulu. E, Venus and Mars. Sorry, that was D. That was D. E, all of the above. You got it. You got it. Very good. One more to go and you get to graduate. Here we go. This is a question based on language arts and Penn State culture. Complete this well-known phrase correctly. Estamos. One more time. Estamos. Gracias. Thank goodness you get to graduate. What would we have done otherwise? Thank you for playing along, folks. I do have some serious remarks to make. Usually speakers at this time talk about your future, and some of the things I'm going to say kind of echo on what Dixie McCoy said and also what Gordon Bigelow said. But I'm not your usual speaker. I've been living and working with you guys and your predecessors for 44 years, and I'd like to talk about your present as much of your future. I'd like to talk about the experiences you've had, the type of people that I take it that you are, what I've learned about you over the years, and then we'll match that up with what I feel about your future. Your students, folks, it seems that we always try to, we, meaning, older people, people in charge of things, try to tell you that being a student is all about preparing for the future of your life. It's a halfway point, it's a preparation, which is of course true, but there's something noble and wonderful about just being a student. Forget about what you're going to be in the future. I have a very good feeling that your futures will take care of themselves because you're talented people. But if you think about what a student really is, a student is somebody that devotes themselves to self-improvement every bit as much as an athlete that devotes themselves to getting ready for the Olympics, every bit as much as a person in the military devotes themselves to service going through basic training. As a matter of fact, I used to tell students that college is kind of like boot camp of the mind when they would complain, why do I have to learn about calculus? I'm never going to use it. Why do I have to learn a foreign language? I don't like them. And the answer would be, well, because it's a challenge and we need you to develop your mind. We need you to be flexible. We need you to be open to intellectual challenges. So you bear a rather unique burden. I bet some of you are thinking right now, or you have been thinking, oh my gosh, these 4 years or 2 years, whatever it is, have really gone by quickly. Raise your hand if you've had that thought. I can't believe I'm graduating already. Let me tell you, folks, the older you get, the more you have those thoughts. But here's a frightening thought for you. The older you get, the faster time goes by, and in no time at all, in the twinkling of an eye, you guys are going to be in charge of the world. The whole planet. It's going to be in your hands. I don't mean by that you're all going to be leaders of corporations or president of the United States. But in the decisions you make in your daily lives, in the things that you buy when you're shopping, in the people that you vote for, in the way you raise your children, you're going to be making those small changes that collectively make the world what it's going to be in the future. This is an awesome responsibility. Every new generation takes on that responsibility. And as students, you particularly have devoted yourselves to developing the skills and the habits and the attitudes that will make it possible for civilization to survive. I don't want to sound as if I'm overblowing this, but when I talk about we are relying on you for the survival of civilization, I literally mean it, folks, and I hope you see that that's true. So let me say a little bit about the state of the world that you are about to inherit, folks. It's fashionable right now to talk about how bad things are. And as a member of the baby boomer generation who ran things for so long, a lot of us sort of beat our breasts and say, oh, we didn't do a good job. We left things a mess for our kids and our grandkids. We've piled up all this massive public debt. We're tearing down the forests, etc. But let me tell you a few positive things about the world that you're about to inherit. Believe it or not, it's a less violent world by far than it used to be. It's hard to believe that when you hear about terrorist attacks, when you hear about gunmen shooting down people in school. But what we don't have today are massive wars with people dying in the trenches by the tens of thousands. We're a far less violent planet than we used to be. We have fewer babies dying of preventable causes. There's less poverty by a lot. Now, it's true that China gets most of the praise for eliminating most of the poverty in the world, but this world is less poor, less sick, less violent than it was when I was sitting in chairs like yours. We have somehow, through good luck and hard effort, accomplished that for you. We've begun a conversion to a more sustainable world that we all understand is something that we need if we're going to prosper and survive in the future. We've begun. You guys, when you inherit the world, are going to have lots of challenges. I'm going to outline a few for you, and maybe you have some ideas yourself. For one, you're going to have to complete this change to sustainability, which is going to affect what we build, what we drive, what we eat, all of that. That's going to be your job to complete in your lifetimes, that we started in a small way. Number two, you're going to have to get this globalization thing down. Although a lot of people like to deny it or wish it would go away, this is, you've heard it 1,000 times, and it's true, a globalized society. We depend on other countries depend on us. We talk about cars that are manufactured in the United States, but then you look at 40% of the components of those cars come from elsewhere, and some of those components started in the United States and then were assembled into small components in Guatemala, and then they came back north. It is monstrously interdependent. Think of the foods that you eat in the grocery store. You're going to have to find a way to be good citizens of the United States and protect the country that you love, and still build a world that acknowledges the fact that we are all interconnected, and as the people in Namibia prosper or fail, we prosper and fail with them. You're going to have to do that. You're going to have to figure out this whole media and Facebook thing. I'm glad you're figuring it out because you're at ease with that. There are a lot of us older people who, would just as soon leave Facebook, and I do. But we all understand what the issues are right now. It offers us so much in the way of connectivity, but there's also all kinds of evidence that it's actually harmed personal relationship. There are more people that report themselves as feeling lonely and misunderstood today than in the ages before social media. That would seem to be counterintuitive, but that's the way it is. We're connected, but we're not connecting. There's the whole business of fake news and how to sort out the fact that anything can go viral on the internet in a tenth of a second, and we need ways of figuring out what is worth believing, what's worth passing on, what's worth retweeting, and what isn't. That's going to be your job. Here's the thing, though. I have real confidence in your ability to do this job. And that comes from not my knowledge of you folks so much, because as you walked across the floor tonight, I realized how few of you I really know personally. Most of the students I teach are spend their first 2 years here and then go on to University Park. Not too many graduates that I know are here. But I'm going to assume that you folks are the same kinds of people that I've been teaching in my classes and that I've gotten to know so well this year and other years. And let me tell you something about those people, which is to say, let me tell you something about you as I see it. Of course, you're going to need skills in the future, and Penn State and the people that put together college educations and degree programs work very hard to try to figure out what are the skills that you need. And you guys have worked very hard to acquire those skills. And then we tell you that, the skill sets that you're going to need are going to change so quickly. You're going to have to be adaptable and flexible. And you've shown that you can do that too. I have every confidence in your skills. But let me tell you about habits and values. I happen to think that the personal values that we have and the way we live those values are more key to the future of this planet, more key to our success and happiness than any individual skill set is. So one of those values is integrity. For more years than I can remember, I'm not good at remembering numbers of years, my sophomore classes in biology have done all their exams. I told them, by the way, that I was going to talk about them tonight because, well, I just wanted them to know. They've written exams, long, complicated exams on an honor system. They get the exam, they can take it anywhere they want, they can be anywhere, they can take as long as it takes, but they sign a paper that says they will not talk to any other student, they won't consult any sources, they won't open the book, and then they hand it in. And over the years that we've been doing this, we have had a few people that cheated, and we found out and we dealt with them accordingly. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you that over the years, 98% of the Penn State Hazleton students that I've dealt with, even students that were failing their courses or who badly needed an A to get into med school but were struggling for a C, rather than cheat, they stayed true to their word and honored the system. Year after year, Penn State Hazleton students showed me that kind of integrity. You hear about scandals in Harvard. You hear about scandals in the military academy. You hear about scandals all over the damn place. But Penn State Hazleton students over the years, year after year after year, even in the face of great temptation, have showed me that they are people of integrity. And I salute them and I salute you for that. And little things. Students come late to class or they miss a class, and I ask them, "Where were you?" And they'll say, "Oh, sorry, I overslept." And I joke around because it's a 1 o'clock class. How late do you sleep? But the thing is, they don't BS me. They tell me the truth. They don't invent dead grandmothers or ailing cousins. They're willing to just be honest. And again, it's a small thing. But if you can't expect honesty from other people, you can't deal with them. And if you can't deal with other people, this will not be a successful future world. Aside from honesty and integrity, the students of tomorrow, the leaders of tomorrow, are going to have to be comfortable with diversity. I came to diversity, I'm a white guy. I sometimes wish I were more diverse. I'm Jewish, but that doesn't count as diverse anymore because we're part of the power structure. But I am gay, and from the time I came here in 1974, I felt welcomed. I met a young man who became my partner for 18 years, who went to this campus and graduated. I'm wearing his ring tonight. He was in the first graduating class of the physical therapy assistant program. And we would go places together. We would be invited to student parties because in those days, parties with students and faculty were allowed. The lawyers hadn't stepped in yet, or the people that worry about those things. And we were just accepted. And I can't tell you how much that meant to me at the time, and how much it means to me now to see my fellow brothers and sisters in the LGBT community and all the other diverse people on this campus who seem to welcome each other and get along just fine. It makes my heart sing when I walk around this campus and see how people get along with each other. It makes you wonder, what is the matter with the rest of the people out there that they can't do what you seem to do without thinking about it? So in another way, this is how I think you guys are ready to take on the responsibilities of the world. I have great confidence in you. You have delighted me all the years that I've been here. Not everybody is what I've just said. There are some bad actors everywhere. I've met many students who have worked through tremendous diversity. Students working 2 jobs and going to college full time. Students raising children. Students who report the most horrible situations that they're dealing with at home with parents and sickness and accidents, and who still keep their chins up and work and don't particularly ask for pity either. Maybe ask for an extension on an assignment or something like that. So I know that in addition to integrity and in addition to the feeling for human diversity and the welcoming of human diversity, you guys have the grit that you will need to take over the world when it comes to that too. That's really what I wanted to say. What it boils down to is, as you go out there in the world, things are going to get tougher than they are now. You're going to find yourself in positions that are more complicated than your lives right now, where you have to make compromises, where you know what's right, but you have a job that you might lose if you make too big a deal about that. You know what you should do, but it's your children and you love them and you want to protect them. You're going to have to think your way through difficult positions. I have every confidence from everything I've seen in you folks in the years that I've worked here that you will succeed at that you have what it takes, that you'll make the right decisions, that in the future, when you're heads of corporations, or when you are nursing assistants, when you are mothers and fathers, whatever you are, somewhere deep inside you, you'll still be students. You'll still be those people that you are today, who take care of each other. I have one more story to tell about that before I end. Who take care of each other, who value each other, who work hard, and who have integrity. The one last story I want to tell you about my class, I almost forgot this. I would have hated myself if I did. My wonderful Bio 230 class. It was a very complicated class this year. In laboratory, we had 4 students who had to come an hour late. We had 2 students who had to leave an hour early. We had others who had extended periods of illness. We had others, it was just complicated. We could never work out a proper lab properly, but I never had to make any arrangements because those students, my Penn State Hazleton students, took care of each other. Somebody came into the lab late and they said, come on over here, we'll catch you up. Oh, I'll give you the notes, don't worry. If you take care of this on Monday morning, then we'll take care of you now. They just helped each other out as naturally as if they were brothers and sisters. And I would be sitting in that lab on a Friday afternoon when all of us would wish we would be somewhere else on 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. And there were my students working hard in lab, taking care of each other's needs, and doing their exercises. And they just made me so proud, and they just made me so happy. I know you folks, when you go out in the world, will be those kinds of people. You will always be students. You will always take care of each other. You will always preserve your values. You'll always remember what it means to be a student. Thank you, and best wishes for that fine future that you're going to build.